My job as the leader of Berkshire Hathaway is to have visions and goals for the company overall with a long time horizon attached to them, and then to get those goals accomplished through other people. I have to see over the next mountain if possible, but then I have to get a lot of other people to look over that mountain with me and really do the job. I mean, they are the ones that get it accomplished. So it's getting things done through other people. Now, Berkshire is like many large corporations in certain ways, but it's really quite different in many ways. We have over 150,000 people now working for Berkshire Hathaway in dozens of companies. But we have these people, and they're an unusual group of people running these businesses because most of them have sold their businesses to us, and they're very, very wealthy. 3/4 of our managers do not need to work financially. They have no reason financially to work. And yet these people jump out of bed every morning and they work weekends, and they love working. And why is that? I mean, what's the key to that? The key really is the same reason I keep working. I'm 72. I'm getting Social Security now, so but I do what I can do. Anything in the world I want to do, but what I want to do is run Berkshire Hathaway. Now, why do I want to run it that way? And the second thing I like, frankly, is I like applause. I like appreciation. So I like having shareholders who feel good about what I've done. I mean, I have a 96-year-old aunt, and her husband went to the University of Nebraska too, and she has all her money in Berkshire Hathaway, and she counts on me. And she's out in Palm Springs now, and her whole net worth is in Berkshire. And I've got cousins, and everybody in our family has got all their money in Berkshire. And so those people are counting on me, and that's kind of fun to have something where you can actually deliver for other people and change their lives in positive ways. As a matter of fact, you can choose where you stand on the integrity scale. You weren't born wired one way or the other. That is an absolute choice you make. The heroes I've had in life have been the people that I felt stood out in that respect. My number one hero was my dad, but I've had other heroes, Tom Murphy, Ben Graham, people like that. The reason I admired them was not because they were the smartest people in the world, although they were plenty smart. And it wasn't because they made the most money. That meant nothing. It's really because I felt they were the classiest people that I ever met in my life. I mean, I saw them behave over year after year after year in a way that I could write their story on the front page of any newspaper, and even in an unfriendly tone, and I could not do anything that would embarrass them in the least. They behaved extraordinarily well. And having the right heroes, is terribly important. You tell me who a 10-year-old's heroes are, and I can give you a pretty good prediction about how they're going to turn out. You want to choose your heroes very carefully, because you're going to look like them at some point, and you're lucky if you've got the right ones. And we'll get onto your questions, but it's something, you're not parents yet, most of you, but when you're a parent, you are the natural hero of your child. Anything they get in school, subsequently, anything else, they're going to be shaped more by what they see in this behavior of yours toward them than anything that will impact them later in their lives. And if they want you to be the hero, there was a lot of nostalgia attached with it, because my father had attended the University of Nebraska in the 1920s. He was editor of the Daily Nebraskan, and one day a young woman from West Point, a student, came in to apply for a job as a reporter on the Daily Nebraskan, and my father not only hired her as a reporter, but he married her shortly thereafter. So both my parents attended here. My grandfather on my mother's side was here in the 1890s, and so a lot of good things have happened to me because of the University of Nebraska. I received a terrific education here. I was telling the dean the most valuable thing I learned here, but I learned a lot, but the most valuable was accounting, and we had a wonderful professor named Ray Dean. There may even be something named for him down here. I mean, he was, I'd been to the Wharton School, I went to Columbia Graduate School subsequently, and I took a lot of accounting courses, but by far the best instruction I received in accounting came from Ray Dean, and there's nothing more important. people ask me what they should take in business school or even if they don't go to business school, what they need to know before getting in business. And I tell them, you have to understand accounting. It's the language. I mean, it's like being in a foreign country without knowing the language if you're in business and you don't understand accounting. So you want to get as comfortable with that as you are with the English language. It's made me a lot of money because I listened to what Ray Dean had to say 53 or 4 years ago and have been able to understand what I was seeing on pieces of paper, what that told me about businesses and the limitations of what it told me about businesses. But that's the way we invest. Yesterday I was in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we bought a company. We agreed to buy a company called Clayton Homes about a week ago. It's a big company in the manufactured home business. We agreed to pay $1.7 billion for it. I made that deal over the phone without ever meeting the people there, but I had seen enough through reading 10Ks, 10Qs, annual reports, but looking at figures, what they tell me in terms of the kind of people even running the place, the kind of accounting decisions they make and so on. I was able to make that $1.7 billion transactions. I couldn't have done that if I hadn't have had a great time at Ray Dean's class 53 years ago.
Good morning. When you were rejected from Harvard Business School, is obviously somewhat of a failure in your mind. How do you adapt to your failures in life to make you more successful?
Yeah, well, that's a very good question. How do you turn failure into a plus? It's true. When I was at the University of Nebraska, one day I was reading the Daily Nebraskan, and it said in room 300 or something, at 3 o'clock there will be this panel of 3 professors here at the university, and they're going to award the Nathan Gold Scholarship. I don't know whether you still have that around. And at the time, it said it would give you $500 to go to the graduate school of your choice. I don't know whether it's changed in amount, but that was it. So I read this, and I went there to this room at 3 o'clock that day, or whatever it was, and I walked in the room, and there were the professors, and I was the only student that showed up. It really got to them. They were stuck. They kept waiting and looking at their watch and hoping there'd be more candidates, but no one came in. So I won $500 by default. And those are usually my biggest triumphs when nobody else shows up. And so here I was. I had $500 to go toward it wasn't limited. It was any graduate school for a master's degree. So I applied to Harvard. My dad wanted me to. And I shortly heard from Harvard. And they said, go to Chicago and meet this fellow who interviews applicants from the Midwest. So I got on the train, and that's what you did in those days. And I spent about 10 hours on the Burlington going to Chicago. Then I transferred to another little interurban train to go up to this country day school where this fellow was the headmaster, and he was the big interviewer for Harvard. And I got there, and after about 10 minutes, he said, better think about something else. I was 19 at the time, and I looked about 12, and I acted about 8. So it was not a great combination. So he said, forget it. So I took the little interurban train back to Chicago, and I took the 10-hour train back to Omaha. And all the time I think, what do I tell my parents? It's kind of embarrassing. But it was the luckiest thing that ever happened to me. Because if I'd gone to Harvard, I would have gone to a 2-year business school. I instead applied to Columbia, where I could graduate in 1 year and get a master's degree. Luckily, by the accident of it and being in the Nebraska National Guard, which did not get called up for the Korean War, I missed going in the Korean War. I got to meet Ben Graham, which had an enormous effect on me subsequently. And I probably got my wife that way because she was going to Northwestern. And otherwise, she'd have met some other guy. I got her before the competition showed up. And so it worked out wonderfully. It couldn't have worked out better. That's been my life, basically. Things, you will get some disappointments, but the future is what counts. It'd not be fun if I knew every decision I was going to be perfect. It would not be as much fun. It'd be like playing golf and knowing you're going to hit a hole-in-one on every hole. You wouldn't play golf if every time you got on a tee, you just took a swing and the ball ended up in the hole.
作为领导者，重要的是为公司制定清晰的愿景和目标， 并通过他人的努力实现这些目标。这不仅需要长远的视野，还需要激励团队朝着共同的方向努力。成功的领导者懂得依靠他人的力量，通过有效的管理和激励，充分发挥每个人的潜力。伯克希尔哈撒韦的经理们即使不需要为经济而工作，但依然充满热情，这表明了工作的意义远不止于金钱。巴菲特强调了品格和诚信的重要性，英雄们因其高尚的品格而受到尊重和仰慕，这说明在领导中，诚信和道德是不可或缺的。面对失败时，巴菲特展示了积极的心态和坚韧不拔的精神。他被哈佛拒绝后，通过另一条道路找到了更好的机会，说明失败可以成为成长的契机。终身学习和掌握专业知识也是成功的关键。巴菲特提到，他在内布拉斯加大学学习的会计知识帮助他在职业生涯中做出了许多成功的决策，强调了在商业中理解和运用核心知识的重要性。责任感和影响力也是领导者必须具备的品质。拥有他人的信任和期望，能够激发领导者更大的责任感，推动他们不断努力。选择正确的榜样和英雄，对个人成长有着深远影响。领导者不仅需要优秀的专业技能，还需要高尚的品格和道德，成为他人效仿的榜样。巴菲特还提到，人生充满未知和不确定性，正是这些变化和挑战，使得成功更加有趣和有意义。正如巴菲特所言，如果每一个决定都能完美无缺，生活反而会失去乐趣。